Here we go. So hello everyone, it's Natalie Alimo here from Natalie Alimo International, and today I have with me Louise from the Revamp Experience. So welcome Louise, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's a pleasure, Natalie. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Now Louise, tell everyone a little bit about what you do at the Revamp Experience and how you got to where you are today.
Okay. Well, I have a background in home economics and health promotion. So I really started working a lot with organisations around, around what their health was, doing, lunchtime learning sessions and educating people around, how to eat well and what does that mean. And I guess as a home economist, your focus really is how to translate scientific info about, this is what the latest diet says. What does that mean in English? How do we interpret all of this crazy information coming at us?
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah,
it is. So I continued my journey, I guess, working in health promotion, and then worked in corporate health with, large national and state-based organisations. And then moved into workplace health because I certainly found that a lot of the, I guess when I used to do one-on-one consultations with people around their health and well-being, the sort of issues that were coming up were around stress.
Yeah.
So how is my workday structured? How does the organisation support? How do they structure work? How do they, do things as an organisation and as an individual? So I was finding I was doing a lot of work, I guess, helping organisations and individuals, really boost their productivity. And so I guess that really got to that point that I was doing quite a lot of it to help, family, friends and colleagues on the weekends, and went, I really just want to be doing this full time. I love it so much. So, I guess in a nutshell.
That's it. So how long have you been out on your own for?
Well, I started Revamp in 2009.
Okay.
And so, it's, I guess, 15 years of, experience kind of culminated. And I think sometimes, when you do start your own business, you never understand your backstory and how every little thing you've done leads you to this point. So,
so true.
It's such an interesting background. And you go, it could sound interesting and a bit complicated.
Yeah.
And I guess it's, because it's really about helping people to, eat well, work well, live well, those three things, you really can't separate. And I guess in all the years of, working with people as individuals in their homes and also in organisations, when those things are working really well, that's brilliant. That's when things start skyrocketing and it really makes a difference.
So do you find that if someone, for example, came in just for work productivity, you can find that there's a big link between their productivity and output to their diet and their health and exercise? Is that what you're finding?
Yeah, definitely. And so, because I think sometimes, and I can say this because I, had always been guilty of it as well, and it's not until you make those connections that you go, I'm actually undermining my productivity by, working long hours and, being business owners. Oh my gosh, how guilty are we? I've just got to do this.
I'll just finish this.
And sometimes, you have to just give yourself a gentle little smack and go, hang on, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I am my business. So, very much, you do find if the food that we're eating, and if we don't do activity because we go, I can't afford it, in terms of it's time or money, they're the common things that, have been my barriers.
Yeah.
And certainly find in my clients as well. So.
Well, and I think also when we get into business for ourselves, one of the things that we always want is that flexibility. We're going to have flexibility to do what we want when we want. And then you get into business and you're like, oh my God, I've got less time. I'm making less money. I'm working more hours. This isn't what I envisaged. And, it's not until maybe year 2 or 3 of your business that you kind of start to get that balance working. And I guess, when we first met, we were talking a lot about people that work from home and how you really need to separate those two environments, and I think it's really important. I think even more now as we're learning more and more about food and education, and more people are starting to work from home, that we really need to work on those two balances. So like you work from home and I work from home, and a lot of both of our customers work from home. Is there any particular tips that you can kind of help people with? Like if I said, what are the 5 things that people need to do? Yep. What would some of those things be to be super productive in their business and in their home?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think the first thing, because I'm sure a lot of your clients, my clients, and others out there, either struggle with they don't have a dedicated space, and I think that's where work is work and home is home. So sometimes that the space can meld. It might be either a corner of a room, so it's trying to identify where will work. Yeah. Because like I love going out to a cafe sometimes if I have to do concentrated stuff. I'm so productive. However, I always need a space at home where everything congregates. Yeah. I love paper, Yeah. I have a lot of stuff, I'm not a minimalist, I'm sure. So it's really important to have spaces for things. So I guess that would be tip number 1. Yeah. Really carve out a spot for you to corral your belongings and really create homes for things. So that's, I guess, a dedicated space would be tip number 1.
And I think also what you said there is really important, the fact that you need to have a work spot and separate it from your home life, because otherwise you end up merging the two together. You'll have dinner, or you'll be eating at your office and eating at the dining table, working at the dining table, and it just really does your head in. Yeah. Exactly. So having that separate area can make a big difference.
Definitely. Like there was one client I was working with last week, and she's got a very small 1-bedroom kind of studio. Well, it's a 1-bedroom apartment. Yeah. So, we rejigged her space so that her office could be in a little nook that she can then have a beautiful, divider. So for her, we looked at something like, either a curtain or some kind of really fabulous, visual divider that looks appealing, but it's like, okay, office is closed for the night. So that way then, we created a nurturing, relaxing space as opposed to the office taking up almost 50% of, there was, I guess, 3 main living areas. The office was taking up 2/3.
Wow.
So we reclaimed that.
Yeah.
So it's, great. So I'm really look forward to seeing the nurture space development. So that's really important, creating that space.
Yeah, definitely. And what other tips would you have for people?
I really think, I guess the next one would really be, if you have to work out what your best times of working are. And I've probably said this many times, but it's really, if you're a night owl, just accept it. If you're a morning person, just accept it. And really, whatever time are your peak times, focus on doing your critical tasks in those times. So I guess what that means is if you've, the night before or at the start of the week, you've done some thinking and brainstorming and going, okay, these are the critical things I have to get done this week. Every day have that dedicated time where you go, okay, my best time is, 7 a.m. for an hour and a half or 1 hour. Every device needs to be off. Yeah. And just really focus on achieving a step towards that. So it might be you need to write a presentation or, write your newsletter. It's like, okay, I'm going to write the articles in that 1 hour slot. Yeah. And then, carve that time out because
I was just going to say, and do you recommend during that peak time not to see clients? Is that really time to be working on your business, not in your business?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So that will be, major projects. It's product development time. It could be some, strategy thinking time possibly as well. So it's really your peak thinking time. So you can either problem solve the business, but really working on the business, not in it.
Business.
So that's got to be sacred time. It's the first one to go. Already comes in and go, oh my gosh, what have I got to do? And it's like, no, this is the non-negotiable. It's sacred time.
And I think also because, you know, in the corporate world, we work 9 to 5. People start in their own business thinking that they need to work 9 to 5. I know you get to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm generally pretty much written off. But, you know, 7 to 9 is a really good optimal time for me to get in and get stuff done. And I'm talking this afternoon to Melanie Miller, who I don't think you've met. She's a business coach, but she talks about, you know, not checking your email in the morning, because if that's your peak time, you check your email, you get bogged down in it, and then you don't get to work on what really needs to get done. So
exactly.
Don't use that time for email checking.
Exactly. And I say to people, look, you want to be a premature overachiever. I think I've used that term before, and it's, you know, that's the time, exactly. That's your peak. You get in there, get it done, so that way then you start your peak time, whether it's day, night, whatever, really on a high, because you go, oh my gosh, I've already got this done. And it creates that momentum, you know, which we can get so discouraged sometimes because we get to a point and go, oh my God, all I've done is email. Actually exhausts our brain, which I guess leads me to tip number 3. I think that's tip number 3. So
sounds good.
Which is monotasking. So really getting into that habit of when you're doing a task, very present for it. So if you are in the process of, you know, doing your newsletter, so, you know, you've written those articles and you're assembling the newsletter, turn off all devices, just be fully present. You can get it done a lot quicker. Because it's almost like we've been trained like Pavlov's dog. You know, where they ring the bell, the dog salivates. You hear the ting or the bell or whatever the sound is for email, and we're trained,
quick.
Quick to me. And it's so tempting. And I guess just getting back to that basic element of our brain works really well when we're focused on a task, because every time there's an interruption, I think research says it takes about 20 minutes for the brain to get back into.
Oh, really? That long?
Yeah.
So that's a lot of unproductive time. And, you know, I've got my phone set to, you know, when something happens on Twitter or Facebook, there's all these reminders. So I've just got to learn to turn it off and in that productive time and not go back to it. Yeah. That's huge. 20 minutes to get back into it. Wow.
I know, and we don't have 20 minutes to waste.
No.
Our brain is a fantastic machine. And when we set it to work, you know, that's when it works. And I guess it's, you know, the concept around you work hard, get the brain focused, but then it's also about taking that renewal. So taking that break away, I guess, leads to the last tips of renewing the body through quality food. So really looking at what types of food you're eating at what different times of the day. And really taking those breaks. So whether it's, you know, activity or, you know, standing up, going for a walk around the house or getting out into the yard, just taking breaks. So that way then you're not, I guess, constantly working. So really important, because we have a tendency otherwise just to sit down and keep writing. And I guess what we can achieve through monotasking, but then also taking regular breaks, renews our energy. And I don't know about you, Nat, but I certainly find sometimes I'm working on something. So for me, peak time is working first thing in the morning. Then I'll, you know, get the gear on, go for a walk, and then as I'm walking, the ideas come.
I know.
I always take the phone with me, and I'm like, right, or
I'm the same.
Or, you know, something. So it might be an article or a letter or you know, something. I just like, that has occurred to me. Because you think better on your feet. Get out there, get your shoes on, and get walking. It makes a huge difference.
It does. And how often do you recommend, like, is it after 2 hours or 90 minutes that you should get up and move around, or is there a certain time, or is it different for every person?
Yeah, and I guess really try and look at, I guess if you're, I guess I would say to people, if you're not sure what your concentration span is, the goal really is to, you know, start at least going, okay, 20 minutes concentrated effort.
Yeah.
Build up your threshold. Ideally, it's around 60 to 90 minutes because I guess the research they've done, even with athletes, believe it or not, is that they can look at that sort of 90-minute, and it's also with athletes and also our sleep rhythm.
Oh, okay.
They find that the body works, has that 90 minutes of the different sleep levels that we go through, and that seems to be the optimum time that our body pulses.
Yeah.
So just going 90 minutes seems to be how the body regulates itself.
Yeah, okay. So every night, even if it's just a couple of minutes, getting up, having a glass of water, just moving a bit.
Exactly.
Some breathing.
Exactly.
And it's really the movement that kind of resets the body.
Yeah, definitely. Movement is great. I mean, I've fought that for a long time. Like, I would be the most I'm putting my hand up. I've always been so guilty of just going, right, you know, get this done, get this done, get this done, and forget that the body actually does need some rest and renewal. So, you know, really looking at, you know, so when you get up, go for a walk, again, even if it's exactly as you said, have some water, you know, have some protein, so whether it's some nuts or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, the body really does need that energy replenishment. So whether that's through food, whether that's through activity, the body is a lot happier.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot happier.
Awesome. Okay, so we've got some tips for being ultra productive. Is there anything finally that you want to say? I know that you've got a great ebook on your website, The Art of Stressless Living, is it? Stress-free living, and we could all live with a little more stress. So we'll make sure that I put a link to that under the video. Now, if someone does want to work with you have, I know you've got a series of ebooks, but you also do, your main thing is private consultations.
Yeah, definitely.
And is that only in Brisbane, or can you do it via Skype, or how does that work?
Yes. Now, I've got clients throughout Australia.
Okay.
So definitely work with a lot of clients via Skype, and also in, you know, the Brisbane, Sunshine Coast, Southeast Queensland area, definitely.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for that insight. I need to stop multitasking, have a break every 90 minutes, drink more water. I've got my organised space sorted. I've got one thing ticked off the list. Just working on the other things now. So thank you very much for your time, and have a great day, and we'll speak to you soon.
Fantastic. Thanks, Nat.